There's a new law in town, the Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, or BNSS, and it's a really big deal. It's changing one of the most important first steps in our justice system. So today, we're going to break down the First Information Report, the FIR, and show you how these new rules put a whole lot more power right where it belongs, in your hands.
Okay, just imagine this for a second. You're the victim of a crime, or you see one happen. In that really stressful, confusing moment, would you know what to do? Would you know what your rights are? Well, that's exactly what we're here to talk about, giving you that crucial knowledge.
All right, let's start at the very beginning. What even is an FIR? It's not just some piece of paper. You got to think of it as the starting pistol for the entire justice system. It's the official document that kicks off the police investigation for any serious crime.
An FIR is pretty much what it sounds like. It's the first information the police get. But, see that term right there? Cognizable offense? That little phrase is absolutely key, and it makes all the difference.
So what's the difference? Well, it's simple, really. Cognizable offenses are the serious ones. We're talking theft, assault, stuff like that. For these, the police can arrest a suspect right away, no warrant needed. Non-cognizable offenses are less severe, and the police need a judge's permission to arrest someone. The FIR process we're digging into today, it's all about those serious, cognizable offenses.
Now for the really practical part, how do you actually get this done under the new law? Well, Section 173 of the BNSS has really streamlined the whole process, making it way more user-friendly.
You've got three straightforward options. First, you can just go to the station and tell them what happened. The officer has to write it all down, read it back to you to make sure it's right, and then you sign it. Simple. Second, you can bring in a complaint you've already written, and third, and this is a big one, you can file it electronically, either online or through email. The whole point is to make it accessible to everyone.
Oh, and for all you electronic filers, there's one really important new rule to remember. You've got 3 days from when you submit your report online to physically go to the police station and sign the document. That signature is what makes it all official.
Now this line, right here, taken straight from the new law, it is a total game changer. For years, one of the biggest frustrations was hearing police say, "Sorry, that didn't happen in our area, we can't file it." Well, guess what? That excuse is now officially dead.
And that brings us to the Zero FIR. This is huge. It means you can walk into literally any police station anywhere in the country and report a serious crime. They are legally required to record your FIR. It doesn't matter if it happened across the street or across the country. They cannot turn you away. Period. So how does that work? It's actually pretty clever. The police station you go to will register your complaint with the number 0. That's the signal that the crime happened somewhere else. Then they do the legwork of sending the case over to the correct station. The most important thing is that your report gets filed right away, and the system handles the transfer.
This new law isn't just about processes and paperwork. It also brings in some incredibly important, very human updates. It really focuses on making the system safer and a lot more sensitive for people who are in a vulnerable situation.
And this isn't a suggestion, it's a mandatory rule. When it comes to certain sensitive crimes, the report must be recorded by a female officer. And look at that wording, or any woman officer. That's so smart. It means even if a station doesn't have a female police officer available, another female official can take the statement, so there's no delay in getting help.
The law also brings in some really powerful new protections for victims with physical or mental disabilities. Their statement can be taken wherever they feel safest, even in their own home. If they need an interpreter or a special educator, one has to be provided. And the whole thing has to be videotaped to make sure everything is recorded accurately and transparently.
And this might just be the most compassionate part of the whole law. That videotaped statement, when given to a magistrate, can be treated as the person's main evidence in the case. What that really means is that the victim might not have to go through the trauma of reliving the entire event all over again in an open courtroom. That's a massive step forward. Okay, so let's talk about the nightmare scenario. What if, after all these new rules, you go to a police station and an officer still refuses to file your FIR? It's a real fear for a lot of people, but the new law gives you a very clear plan.
So what do you do? Well, the first thing to know is that you are not powerless, not by a long shot. The law actually gives you a formal 2-step process to make sure your voice is heard.
Okay, step 1 is what's called the executive remedy. You basically go over their head. You write down your complaint and send it by post to the superintendent of police, the SP, who's the boss of that whole district. If that doesn't work, you move to step 2, the judicial remedy.
You take your case directly to the local magistrate, who has the legal power to order the police to get moving on your case.
Now, the order here is super important. You have to try the first step, going to the SP, before you can go to the second step, the magistrate. It's a clear process, and you've got to follow it in that order.
The new law also adds something called a preliminary inquiry. For certain types of crimes, police now have about 14 days to do a quick check to see if there's enough evidence to even start a full investigation. It's basically a filter to make sure police time and resources are being spent on solid cases.
So when you step back and look at all these changes, what's the bottom line? It's that the power to kickstart the justice process is now more firmly in your hands than it has ever been before.
So let's just run through the big takeaways one last time. You can file an FIR anywhere thanks to the Zero FIR. You can do it online. There are real, meaningful protections for women and disabled victims. And if anyone ever refuses to take your complaint, you have a clear two-step backup plan. Filing an FIR is your right, and it's the foundation of the entire justice system.
At the end of the day, a law is just words on paper, unless people know about it and use it. These new rules are designed to give you, the citizen, a stronger voice. So the only question left is, now that you know your rights, are you prepared to use them?